remaining qualification spots in 2 relay events ahead of September's World Championships in Japan. The Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association has named 3 relay squads to compete at the inaugural Barbados Grand Prix this Saturday, July 5, under the lights at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex in Bridgetown. The men's sprint relay team, featuring Kadrian Goldson, Adrian Carr, Boaja and Krumi, and O'Dane McPherson, will be pushing hard to grab a qualifying spot. The mixed 4x4 quartet of Ronisha McGregor, Shanike Anderson, Jeremy Bembridge, and Bovell McPherson is also on the hunt. That team currently sits in the 16th and final qualifying spot, but will be looking to post a faster time to solidify their place. Meanwhile, the women's sprint relay team has already secured its place and will use this meet for prep work. That lineup includes Janelle Smith, Serena Cole, Crystal Slowly, and Joe Dean Williams. The teams have until August 25 to qualify for the World Championships in each relay event. Leighton Levy joins us now to break down Jamaica's chances and preview what to expect this weekend in Bridgetown. Leighton, explain this to me as if I was 7 in terms of the qualification standards and what the teams need to do starting this weekend. Go.
Well, as you mentioned, Donald, I think the teams need to run faster time that they ran at the World Relay Championships in Nanjing, China. The team, as you know, the 4x1 men's team didn't qualify because they didn't complete the relay in either the first round or the second round of qualifiers. So now they have an opportunity to try for, well, this opportunity in Barbados, which is not necessarily the strongest team, because what you know is that what we do know is that a lot of the bigger stars, the Keishain Thompson, the Akeem Blakes, have other assignments. They're both competing at the Prefontaine meet in Oregon on Saturday also. So they couldn't be in Barbados. The thing is that when you look at this 4x1 men's team, I think it's quick enough. But will they execute well enough? I think what we saw at the trials with Goldston and Klume, especially you saw where they're in 10-0 shape. So if they run well and if they exchange well, this is a team that can perhaps get you 37-8. Is that good enough to get them in? I'm not quite sure, but let's see what happens there. The thing is this. I think this will be a precursor to what we can expect and what to expect from the team going forward, because once this meet is over and they move into Europe, I think you'll see a stronger team. As you know, the MVP camp tends to move to Italy shortly thereafter, the trials each year. So Keishain Thompson and Rohan Watson, and of course, I think Akeem Blake will also be in Europe as well. I'm not quite sure about Oblique Seville because the last few years we've seen them as they keep him close to home for whatever reason. So I think even if they do fall short in Barbados on Saturday, there will be other opportunities once they get into Europe where the stronger members of the Jamaican team will be on the relay leg. As long as the coaches can agree to make them available, I should say that, because that seems to be a problem the last few years, where the coaches seem to be more concerned about the individual performances rather than the relay performances. So if the coaches can come to some kind of agreement and make the athletes are available for the Diamond League in London, I think it's on July the 19th, I think, then they could go for a faster time there. And given the foot speed that's available, even without Oblique Seville, I think Ron Watson ran 10th at the national championships, so he's showing some return to form. That's why he won the national title a couple of years ago. Okay, of course, Keishain Thompson, fastest man in the world, Akeem Blake, 988. I think if they can work on their passes in Europe and get the stick around, they certainly will qualify. But let's see what this foursome does in Barbados on Saturday, because I think there's enough speed there for them to do well. Whether or not they do well enough is going to be the big question.
Yeah, last time out we were having a similar discussion. It was pretty too late. It was too late, and that was the fundamental issue, because we saw where athletes just didn't make themselves available at the last minute. I suppose the administration would have learned their lesson, and that's why they have entered this meet so far ahead of the deadline, which is at the end of August.
Well, let's hope, because you know, last year they did have several opportunities as well, if you remember, and that didn't work out very well for them either. So now at least there seems to be a plan. There's Barbados, and of course there are two meets in Europe. And so if you need more than three chances to get yourself into a qualifying position, then I don't think anybody can blame anybody. But again, it comes down to whether or not the coaches will make their athletes available for competition. So once that happens, and we put our best runners on the field, I think it will happen. Once the stick goes around, I think just the foot speed alone, if they can do safe changes, and with the foot speed alone, Jamaica should be able to get the qualifying, well, move up into into a time where that can't be surpassed by anybody that's outside of Jamaica or the USA, which is already a qualifier as well. So the reality is this: they just need to make the athletes available, and once they're available, then things should be fine. With enough practice, I think they should be able to get the job done. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this time around things will work out a lot better for Jamaica for the 4x1 men.
Yeah, well, based on, as Donald said, what happened before, you'd think they would put things in place. Leighton, based on what you know about the Barbados Grand Prix, how competitive is it?
Um, I'm not quite sure because given the teams that are here are coming, Trinidad and Tobago, I think Canada is going to be there, and some other teams from the Caribbean. Um, the 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 competitiveness of the 4x1 is to be seen because we're not quite sure which athletes are being fielded by these other countries. But the rules state that you have to have at least two other countries, international teams in the race for the time to be ratified. So I think that's more important than whether or not it's going to be competitive because I think as long as there's somebody else running against you, you will do your best to ensure that you're finishing ahead. But it's whether or not there will be enough teams there. And based on what I'm told, yes, there should be enough teams there, international teams there, for whatever performances Jamaica produce. There will be, it will be ratified by what I said. And of course, fall where it does in the rankings to get Jamaica into the World Championships.
As far as the mixed 4x4 is concerned, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, right now we're on the bubble. Do you think that we are in danger based on the fact that we're in that 16th and final qualifying spot? Do you see another team probably bettering what we have in that position, or do you think this is necessary for us to go up the ranking?
Given the team that I see for the mixed relays, I have to be honest with you, I'm not particularly convinced. Yes, Ranisha McGregor looks to be in better shape, and a couple of the other guys seem to be in good shape too, based on what we saw in the national championships. But collectively, are they good enough to get that time to move up in the rankings or to ensure that they're not surpassed by other teams? I'm not quite sure about that because this is nowhere close to the strongest team, or this is like a. I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging anybody, but this is like a C team to me. And if we are serious about qualifying for the mixed relays, we should have picked a stronger team. But then again, it comes down to the availability of the athletes there because when you look at the mixed relays, Jamaica I don't think has the depth of runners to field a team that is going to be competitive, regardless of whether we qualify or not. But this team doesn't fill me with confidence. I have to be honest about it. I'm looking at the team and I'm thinking, who is going to run, or who two or three legs that are going to make Jamaica that much better than the rest of the people that they're running against? I'm not quite sure. So I'm open to them proving me wrong, but right now on paper, I'm not particularly convinced about that as well.
We've always had some issue with baton changes and the technical aspects at the senior level. So I'm actually keen to see the women's 4x1, even though we know that probably a couple of these runners would probably not make a full strength 4x1 women's team. Janelle, Serena, Crystal, and Jodine are all making up this 4x1 team. But are you interested to see how they will execute?
Yeah, remember the women's team has already qualified. Okay, so what are you talking about? The mixed relay team or the
No, the
4x1
4x1 women I'm talking about, Leighton.
The 4x1 women have already qualified. So
Yeah.
maybe this is maybe the substitutes going into Tokyo then because you now can change all four runners, right?
Mm.
And when you look at this team, Johnny Smith 11.03, a new personal best. Jordyn Williams 11.08, I think, or 11.06. Crystal Slowly ran well enough, and sorry, this is a quick team that should qualify wherever, regardless of where they are in the world. I think this is a fast enough team, and once the stick goes around, so it's key again. You mentioned the practice to ensure that there are no missteps or mishaps in the exchanges. And I think if these four young ladies are practicing to get the stick around and to ensure maybe safe changes in the middle of the box, I think this team should do well. And I think it's a team that's fast enough to even in the preliminary round in Tokyo that should qualify. Because you're gonna let's say you take the chance and leave out Shericka Jackson and of course Tina Clayton and Sherian Fraser Price. This team, I think, is good enough to get them into a final. The thing is, though, that they have to ensure that they get the stick around and get the stick around without it slowing down. Because I think in terms of foot speed, all of these ladies are roughly about equal in terms of their speed. So it's about ensuring that the stick is passed when the outgoing athlete is achieving maximum speed going out of the box. And once you do that, I think this is a team that can run pretty fast. I think this is a team that can run 42.1 or 41.9 perhaps because of the speed that's there. And then they do that. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to qualify from a preliminary round in Tokyo. And if need be, they could probably put in a Shelley Fraser Price or one of the Clayton twins if both teams are selected, because I know Tia Clayton was hurt at the national championships and is not quite sure whether or not she'll be selected either, given the fact that we don't know how long that recovery is going to be for that injury that she picked up. But certainly on paper, these four ladies, Jordyn Williams, and of course Crystal Slowly, Serena Cole, and Johnny Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Johnny Smith is healthy for the first time in years.
Yeah.
Her previous best was 11.04 way back in 2019. She ran 11.10 at the Barbados Grand Prix and 11.03 at the championships. I think she was fifth or sixth in the final. So she's back in good nick. And given the fact that there's still 2 months plus to go, chances are each of these women will be faster going into Tokyo as well. So this is an opportunity for them, I believe, that they could practice to see whether or not they can, have some kind of synergy, some kind of chemistry, and successfully bring a stick around and get into a final in Tokyo.
Leighton Levy, thank you so much for your time. You have put in a proper double shift, so you can send in your invoice to our producer, Gerard Morrissey.
I wish.
Take a break. Back with more after this. Stay with us.